Incredible greetings. Hello, everyone. Incredible greetings. How are you guys doing? I am Shakia, the professor of HS Inc. 365, home of Silaholics Anonymous, 365 Creative Academy, and the amazing, incredible brand, Honestly Speaking, where we carry the best summation paper and ink on the market. If you don't know, our sublimation paper allows you to sublimate as low as 365 degrees, as fast as 30 seconds. No butcher paper required. You get amazing saturation and ink payoff just using the plain paper bright white setting set to the highest possible setting. So you're going to get more bang for your buck. Your ink is going to last longer and you're going to have amazing sublimation results. So if you are someone that does sublimation, definitely head on over to our website and check out all of our products. This video, however, is not featuring any of our incredible sublimation products. This is all about Silhouette Studio. And, well, I don't want to say even Silhouette Studio. It's more so about designing and, let me turn this down some. So it's more so about designing and things that you should know when it comes to setting up your designs, really no matter which program you're using. Of course, my program of choice is Silhouette Studio, which Silhouette Studio is the program that is used to control the Silhouette family of machines like the Cameo 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the Portrait 1, 2, 3, 4, the Curio 1 and 2, the Mint, the Alpha. I think I named them all in the original SD machine. But Silhouette Studio can be used as a standalone graphic designing software. Okay. Okay, there we go. So it can be used as a standalone graphic designing software where you can create amazing designs for sublimation, for regular prints, for posters, banners, party favors, things if you're like for your business, if you're monetizing it, so you can make a design and make your own logos, business cards, flyers, labels, stickers, and so much more that you can do within Silhouette Studio. So I love, 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 love it. It's absolutely free to use. It is the most versatile, like graphic designing software that is 100% free. Now, there are upgrades to it, such as Designer, Designer Plus, and Business that will unlock additional features, like being able to open up SVGs, being able to save as SVGs or PNGs and JPEGs and PDFs, but just being able to bring in elements, remove the background on certain ones, like, where you can do a trace and detach, using edit points, which is just amazing for really customizing different shapes, being able to change colors, add shadows, resizing, offsetting, internal offsets, alignments, replicate, rotating. All of those things are key and essential to creating your own designs, right? When you don't want to rely totally and completely on templates and you want to be able to do your own thing, put your own little spin, put your personality into it, you need a program that will allow you to do that. And Silhouette Studio does that for you and more. It's not a web-based system. Downside is there is no mobile version. And I know in this day and age, everybody wants a mobile version, which is why Canva is on the rise. But if you look at programs like Photoshop, the mobile type version of Photoshop is nothing like the actual desktop or like computer based version of it. I mean, there are like some apps like Fresco and things of that nature, but it's just not the same. Procreate has its limitations. So there maybe eventually be one like in the future where they'll have a mobile version. I wouldn't know. I'm not, I don't work side by side with the company, but I would hope that it'll move with the times and that it will have some sort of mobile version for designing. But as long as you have a laptop, a computer, a desktop, it's great to download. Like I said, anyone can download it and you can just play around with it. There's no obligation to buy anything. You can only gain from downloading and learning even the basic steps for using Silhouette Studio. I actually have a one-on-one session next week with someone who I'm going to assist where they make custom cheer bows. So that was like right up my alley. I get to, be in the world of cheer, but also be able to help her just understand Silhouette Studio to be able to take her designs to the next level when it comes to her cheer bowl. So I'm super excited about that one-on-one coaching session next week. But in this one, although you guys won't see like what it took to put this together, those who are in my Essentials of Silhouette Studio program, like that course, they will get to see exactly how this was put together. We have a session tonight, but I'm going to actually do a exclusive live video just showing the design. So that's where you're going to get, exclusive videos now, not just kind of doing like regular Q&As and just regular demos. You got to be in one of the classes. So I'm going to actually, right after this, really, I'm going to do a breakdown of this. And we do have class tonight. So they'll be able to ask questions about what, they see in the design for this one. But what we're going to discuss in this live broadcast and in this training, we're going to talk about bleed lines, safe zones, when you're setting up designs for full bleed prints for sublimation. So now when you're doing, of course, like let's say you do a borderless print, if your printer allows for that, you would set it up and you still want to account for bleed areas and safe zones because printers really don't print like as it sees it on screen. It really kind of blows it up a little bit and you can lose part of your design when you do borderless. But this is more so like sublimation. Whenever you're doing something like, in this case, it originally came because I'm going to do a print for someone and they had to reset up their design. I'll see if I can get permission to show their design and what, I had to kind of coach them through and how they had to set it up. So I'll see if it's possible. And I might come back with that one. But so I just created, until I got permission from that, I just created a design to just demonstrate this and how and why it's so important to know how to set up your files. Okay. So if you're doing something like this, like it's a garden flag that she was doing. If you're going to do, what's the thing that y'all are doing now? The notebooks, composition notebooks and things of that nature, having a bleed, for that, if you're going to press it right to the, the glitter spiral notebooks. If you're going to do that, you want to have a bleed on it. Even for the composition ones, because some people are kind of creating the like a pre-cut thingy for like a sticker or label to go on it. So anything like that, if you're doing the name tags and it's a full background type design, if you're going to do even like tumblers, you technically have a bleed and safe zone on that. Anything that's going to go edge to edge, you want to have bleeds and also safe zones so that you can make sure that the areas that are really important, they're not going to get cut off if you shift to the right or left a little bit when you are pressing it. All right, so we're going to go through that in this one. How are you guys doing today? That was a long intro. I was supposed to be, I was supposed to be sharing this out as I was going through that long intro and I got distracted. So I did not share it out. I'm going to attempt to now while you guys check in and just say hello. Let me know what you guys have been up to. It's been a little minute since I have done a live video with you guys. So how are you all doing? Incredible afternoon. Hello from South Florida as well. Yep, I just actually left Sam's to get water because my husband, I haven't watched the news. My husband said there's supposed to be a storm coming this way potentially. So I actually just left Sam's getting cases of water. Incredible. Well, it might be morning where you are. It's 1:26 here on the East Coast. So incredible greetings no matter where you are. How many people here use Silhouette Studio? If you are currently using Silhouette Studio, go ahead and drop a 3. If you have never considered using it, drop a 6. And if it's like, man, I kind of heard about it, I just haven't downloaded. I'm so used to using either Cricut or Canva, whatever. So it's like you're on the fence, you're considering it. Go ahead and drop a 5. Hopefully I'll see a lot of 3s. And that, because that means that I've converted you guys. I've gotten you over to the silhouette side of life. Hold on, I gotta grab a mouse pad because it's difficult moving my mouse around. All right, let's see. I see a 5. I see a couple 3s here. Okay. Uh-oh. All right, there we go. All shared out. So quite a few 3s. I saw the 5. Well, at least I saw it over on Facebook. I don't see it over here for some reason, but I did see the 5 when I was over on Facebook. Incredible greetings. Hello, hello. So a lot of 3s. Yes, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love seeing that we have a lot of Silhouette Studio users. Okay, so let's get into this. It's been about 12 minutes now. So, you know, on the playback, those who watch the playback, they absolutely cannot stand when they have to go through like all the other stuff. Some of you guys kind of understand because you're like coming in and you're at minute 12, you're at minute 15, so you didn't have to get like the intro. But oh my gosh, do I get eaten up sometimes in the comments where it's like, oh, this intro's too long, get to it. So hey, let's not, you know, dwell on this like too long and let's just get into it. Okay, so I'm going to start just by kind of coming up here and just showing this this graphic. Okay, I originally did this to help someone who's creating a design. I'm actually going to print out the print for them. We do offer print services. We don't do like large format up to 13 by 19 inch prints or even longer because I have printed out like for stoles for people, for ties. So it's the longer run, like on our Sublimation roll paper. But the flag the garden flag that they're using is a 12 by 18 garden flag. So what you want to do whenever you are creating your design, Silhouette Studio has an offset option, right? So we open that up and you can put the distance in and it's going to automatically, you know, put an exact like shape. So if it's a circle, it's going to be a circle. If it's a rectangle, it's going to be a rectangle. If it's contour like the shape of Minnie Mouse, I'm going to do that because it's right behind me. We just did foam board class this morning. It's going to increase that exact contoured shape a half an inch, a quarter of an inch, 1 inch, 2 inch, 3 inch, 5 inch, whatever distance you put, it's going to add that all the way around. Now, if you don't have that and you're using something, let's say like Canva, which I will show the demonstration in Canva as well, you have to do the math on that to know what size it's going to be. You can either make it where it's exact, or you can just kind of like, okay, I just want to kind of come in this amount. That part is up to you. But you want to have a bleed and a safe zone. So as we can see, the substrate edge is 12 by 18. So we want to, your bleed is going to be more so your background, might be like the edges of certain elements, like accent elements that you're going to add to it. Those are the things that can be within your bleed area, because it's not going to matter if they don't make it onto the final project. So your bleed should be anywhere from 1/4 of an inch to maybe 1/2 an inch. When I'm doing things like all over shirts, because shirts can be a little bit wonky, I like to go at like anywhere from 3/4 inch to a full inch, just to make sure that if it's like a little bit off, everything will still fit on the shirt. Does it become kind of a waste of like vinyl and stuff? Yeah, kind of, sort of. I mean, not vinyl, of paper and ink. Yeah, kind of, sort of, but I'm okay with that. But like my stoles, because of how I make the templates for that, 1/2 an inch normally, fares out pretty good. Smaller substrates, a 1/4 of an inch all the way around. So it increases it by like 1/2 an inch side to side, up and down. So for this one, by doing a 1/4 inch offset, right, we're adding 1/2 an inch all the way around, because it's going to add a 1/4 of an inch to the right, a 1/4 of an inch to the left, a 1/4 of an inch to the top and bottom. So the overall size becomes 1/2 an inch, right to left, top to bottom. Okay. And then our safe zone for this one, I also did a 1/4 of an inch internal. So it's going to be the same thing, a 1/4 of an inch in from the from the edge, on top, bottom, right side, left side. So for a substrate that's 12 by 18, your bleed becomes 12.5 by 18.5. Your safe zone becomes 11.5 by 17.5, so that it's still in the right proportions. So now let's talk about, what are these? Why are they significant? Every single template, especially if you have my template vault, you're going to see a bleed, substrate edge, and a safe zone. I do that for everything. Some people don't deal in templates. It's like, okay, let me just measure it, and I'm just going to do this. I'm just going to make my box a little bit bigger. And a lot of times they will create the box the size that it should be, right? And they just start to design, and then they increase the size afterwards. This is how things end up being cut off. We don't want to do that. If you're not going to like make an exact template by scanning and things of that nature, and you just do the regular size, but then increase it a little bit. But you want to still have an indicator of where that substrate edge is, so that you don't make the mistake of pulling all of your important elements out to the side. So your bleed is things that you don't care about, and it just gives you a little wiggle room if your substrate happens to move underneath your press. If just trying to line it up, you don't want it to be right on the edge. And this will ensure that color goes all the way to the edges and you don't have any white. Okay. I don't know what my kid is doing. So that's your bleed area. Your safe zone is towards the inside, and it is where you want to keep things that you don't want cut off at all. Like if you're creating something, and let's say like it's a picture, a graduate, a wedding picture, like an engagement picture, anything like that, and you don't mind like the back, like their back and like the back of their head, or like the side and something like that going off the edge, and you want it to look like it's flowing off the edge, you want that edge or the back side of them to fall within the bleed area and almost off of that, so that you know that it looks like it's coming off the edge of whatever that substrate is. But stuff that you don't want to be cut off at all, things can shift. You want to make sure that it's within the safe zone. okay? And that's why we do that internal offset. So are we all clear on bleed, safe zone, and substrate edge? If you're all clear, put clear in the comments. All right, so we have a clear understanding. Cool, 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 cool. All right. So now let me show you a representation, like just show you visually like what that looks like, okay? So we're gonna pull back here. Hey, where is my, oh, you just can't see it. Let's, okay, wait, nope, ungroup. Well, where, yeah, there we go. Let's make that 5. Don't know why. Okay, no, not that one. I can see it there, but there we go. See, why is it not showing up? I got it as 5. Okay, what the heck is going on with my line tool? Hold on. Okay, don't know what happened there, but that's okay. Okay, so on this first one, this represents like 13 by 19 paper. That's all that white part is. This is the actual design. So if we set it up where it was the exact size of the substrate, 12 by 18, and we, made our design where it's pretty much going edge to edge, right? So if we do it this way, if it's like off, everything is not always sewn perfectly. Some things might be a little bit off. Some things like curving. It's not always like a straight line for certain substrates, especially fabric type substrates. So if we go, even if we're taping it down, if it shifts a little bit, you might end up with white along the edge. How many of you guys who do sublimation has had that happen where you're wanting something to go edge to edge, but you see a little white along the corners or down the edges of it? So if we set it up this way, we have no wiggle room whatsoever because the background of this is exactly 12 by 18. And our design is really, really close. So you have to be super, super careful. You have to be spot on. You'll probably spend way more time fiddling with it, moving stuff, making sure it's like right in the edge. And that decreases your productivity. But when you give yourself a little bit more room, to work with and not have to be like so precise because the color is going to reach to the edge. If your design is off like just a little bit, no one's really going to notice if it's not completely centered. This is another reason why I do not like to use really large offsets or bleed areas. The bigger the bleed area, the easier it is to kind of put it in the wrong section and now your middle part looks a little bit off. But when you have just a little bit, as long as, even if one side is a hair to the right, a hair to the top, bottom, whatever, everything in the middle still looks centered, as long as you set your design up correctly. But with this one, you have to fiddle around. So you can see you'll end up with a lot more space on your paper. Now this one, the white represents the 13 by 19 sublimation paper, but we have this area here. It looks the same, nothing's going to change, but your background is extended to that bleed. So if I were to move this, I don't really need this. Like when I'm designing, I don't need it in the substrate part also. I just did it for visual purposes here. Like when I'm designing, I will fill my background into the bleed. Here is our HS Ink digital fade bar. I will crop that to the bleed line, not the inside. So you don't have to do double work. You do not have to do double work. So I'm going to undo that. So I can even delete this part, right? So if I go over here and I hit no color, oops, wrong thing, because I'm on the, hold on, let me pull this down some. There we go. So even without that, it looks the same. So your background, so your bleed is where you will start to build things to as far as bringing your backgrounds. That's what you're going to crop your background to, any accent elements, anything that you want to go to the edge of your substrate. You're going to use the outline of the background or the bleed to crop your elements down to that, to ensure that it falls between the substrate and the bleed. Okay. And then your red and your green, you're not utilizing those for anything other than placement. I could take my stand on business all the way to the edge of the green, and I know that I'll be like, okay, it's only 1/4 of an inch in, so it'll still give the illusion that I am going edge to edge on that substrate, because it's only going to be a hair away from the edge on both sides. I chose to kind of stay more into like the middle part of it. I wasn't looking for an edge to edge look when I created this design. But like up here where it says November, I make sure that that does not go above that green line, just in case anything is like off. I definitely don't want it to get cut off. So that is right up under that safe zone, or I could even bring it down lower. Then the middle part here, it's nowhere, like that was never, at risk of getting cut off. Same thing here. And then our part at the bottom, okay? I'm just gonna extend it out a little bit here. Now with Silhouette Studio, I put my thickness up for demonstration purposes only. Okay, just so that you guys can see where that blue bleed, the red hard stop, like that is the edge of the substrate, and then our green, which is our safe zone. But when I go to like print this, I don't even put it on there. I don't make the thickness thick when I'm designing. It's just for teaching purposes. You guys can see it. As long as this is 0, even with the color there so that you can see it, as long as it is 0, it can have color, it can have different colors. But if the thickness is 0 points, it will not print. You can put it on your design page, hit print, it will not print. Now, if you save it as a JPEG or a PDF, those colors will be a part of the saved file. So if you're going to save it to utilize it somewhere else, you will need to go in and either remove them completely or go in and for line color, go none. This is why, with my students, I tell them duplicate, 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 so that you have the version that has lines. Like, you now want to use that same layout to create for something else. But for this one, you're going to go no color. And you can always, of course, bring the color back, but you want to go no color when you're going to save it as a PNG, JPEG, PDF, things of that nature. Okay. So now let's take a look at what that looks like when it comes to the garden flag. I went, and so this is just so that I can make it look realistic. This is how I create my mock-ups in Silhouette Studio. People ask, or someone says, I learned that the hard way, leaving the color on and having the color print. Yeah. We talk about it in Essentials of Silhouette Studio. So if you guys are not enrolled in that, we meet tonight. There's plenty. It's something that you can join whenever so that you can learn Silhouette Studio. But I like to create my mock-ups in Silhouette Studio. And a lot of times it's elements layered and adjusting the gamma and contrast and dropping my transparency. Okay, so this is, ooh, I thought this was grouped together. It's not. So let me select all of this and group it. And I'm going to, oh wait, I don't think this is the one that I did the bleed on. Bring to the front. Yeah, this is the one where this was for thumbnail purposes. So let's duplicate this. And then we're going to take this whole thing here. We're going to group it, which I actually forgot to convert to path all of my text, but that's fine. Oh, wait, no, undo. Undo. I don't want the page. Oh, that happens too. Don't look, it's happened to me plenty of times, especially when I'm like saving as a PDF to take it over to my Rollin to create decals for like the styrofoam cups or whatever. I will forget to turn off that red outline and it sucks. And I don't realize it until after it's printing out. So it definitely it happens to the best of us many, many years in, and it still happens. So definitely don't beat yourself up about it if you did. Okay. So I'm going to make a duplicate and pull this up here. Okay, what are you doing? Move over. So the goal with having it larger is for it to be like this, so that when you put your substrate on it, that extra falls off of the substrate, like to the edges, and you don't have to worry about like it being spot on. You have that extra, but your words stay in the middle. Can you guys see that? So this is the top edge of the design, but the top edge of the garden flag is here. The side edge is here. And then same thing on this side. So now you can tape it in place. All right. Any questions for me in regards to what bleed and safe zones are? None. I'm going to show you how you do that, which tool you use in Silhouette Studio. Okay, so I'm going to start for this particular project. I did not have to scan it. It's a one where you can measure it and know like the exact size. I would not recommend going off of what the packaging says. So if it says that it is a 12 by 18, don't go off of that. Pull one out, get your ruler, measure it from top to bottom, left to right, down to the decimal. Because if it's a little bit off, then when you do that offset, it's going to affect it. It's also going to affect it. So one of, they might advertise 12 by 18, but if in that batch someone did the hemline and it's actually 12 by 18.125, or let's say 0.25, if you go and you just do 12 by 18, you do that offset, now that top and bottom edge is going to be right up against it. So I do recommend that for each batch of substrates that you have, from any particular vendor, that you measure it or scan it to get the exact size of that batch of blanks. Okay. So we're going to go to our rectangle tool. It's the first one here. You're going to just make a random box. The size doesn't matter. It does not matter. You're then going to come up to the top panel or go to the transform panel on the right and go to scale. It's the same icon here. You're going to make sure that the lock is unlocked, okay, disengaged. You're going to type in for width 12, height 18, or whatever size you need for your project. You're then going to come to the right-hand panel and you're going to click on the double star. That is your offset panel. We're going to click on offset and I'm going to go corner and you would type it in 0.125, 0.25, 0.51. That part is up to you. So for just for the sake of this, I'm just going to go 0.5 and apply. So now I've added a 1/2 inch and a 1/2 inch. So I should be at 13 by 19. I don't print borderless. So even though it's like 13 by 19, I don't really like to kind of go all the way to the edge anyway. Mine does its natural border, which is 0.125. So it's going to cut that down some when it prints. I'm going to have a white border around it anyway. But you can go a 1/2 inch and make it, like in this case, it'll be a 13 by 19. And you don't have to change the colors. I change colors for teaching purposes and for template purposes so people understand what is what. But when you are designing yourself, you don't have to change colors if you don't want to. If you feel like it'll help you identify, definitely change the colors for your bleed, your substrate edge, and your safe zone. So now we're going to click back on that internal one because that is our substrate edge. And we're going to go internal offset. It doesn't have to be the same. So I can go for this one because I'm like, okay, I don't really need to make sure that it's like so far away from the edge. So we're going to go 0.25. Okay. It's still corner and we're going to hit apply. So we don't have to go all the way in a 1/2 inch. Now on all over shirts, those I kind of go out an inch and I kind of go in a 1/2 inch up to an inch just to make sure that it stays nice and centered. I don't really like to do a lot of all over shirts. That's just not my thing. I know some people love them. They live by them. I really would not care about creating my own all over shirts. Most times stuff like that, I prefer cut and sew, and I'm going to outsource that. All right. So we have our substrate, our safe zone, which I'm going to change it to green so you guys can see. I don't know. For me, I just like to do a dash line. And then this one is going to be a blue. And that's it. And then you just start designing within here and setting up your text and stuff like that. Okay. Any questions? Last call for questions on Silhouette Studio. I'm going to demonstrate this in Canva as well. All right, no questions? Okay, so in Canva, when you go to create a design, your design, unless, okay, how can I put this? If you are going to create the design, save it, and then bring it into another paper, like another design page on the paper size, your design size needs to be with the bleed. Give me again. If you're going to create your design page for the design itself and not for the paper that it will be printed onto, you need to account for the bleed now. So we already know we're going to do 12.5 by 18.5. And so it's kind of backwards here. We're going to create for the bleed and then do boxes for internal, for substrate edge and for the internal safe zone. Did I make sense with that? Y'all understand what I mean by that? So you saw how in Silhouette Studio, I started with the 12 by 8 and I was able to use offsetting. when you set its page size in Canva, it makes it to like whatever size you set it to. So if your flag is 12 by 18, you'll have to go in and start it and then resize. So Canva, you have to start with the bleed size. Go ahead and write that in the chat for me so I make sure that you understand with me. Canva, start with bleed, okay? So luckily from Silhouette Studio, I know if not, you would have to do math on this before you created your design page. So I'm just going to go to custom size. We're going to change it from pixels to inches. And width, we're going to go 12.5. My height is 18.5. There we go. Canva, start with the bleed size. Start in Canva, start with bleed. So now that we have that bleed, or me personally though, I would probably go with my page size I'm going to print to. So my preference would be, if I know I'm going to do 13 by 19 paper, I'm going to go 13 by 19, and then we're going to go create a new design, okay? But either way works. Then under elements, you're going to just put a shape on there, so a square. And then we're going to go to position. And we're going to go down here to advanced. It's unlocked. And we're going to make that 12 by 18. And then center that. All right. Especially if you're going to do like a solid color. If it's not going to be a solid color and you're going to add some sort of background, instead of adding a shape, you're going to add a frame so that you can put a background image there, unless you have found a background image within the elements. So we're just going to go position. It's unlocked. We're going to make this 12 by 18. Okay. And then this can be centered if you're going to fill it in with some sort of background. And then you want your, actually, no, I'm bugging. It still needs to be the whole thing. So this right here, I'm sorry, this is still your substrate edge. This one for your background. So the frame, this will cover the whole thing. So we will go here and pull that down. So that will be for your background because it should go to the bleed. And then we're going to go position, layers, and pull that down. This one is our substrate edge. So we want no color here. And then for the lines, we're going to go the solid line. We're going to come here to border color, and you can make that whatever color you want. So we're just going to make it red like we did in Silhouette Studio. Okay. That just lets me know where my substrate edge is. I'm going to either duplicate this one or just bring in another square. And this one, we're going to go to position, arrange. For advanced, it's unlocked. And we know that that needs to be 11.5 by 17.5. We click on the color to remove the color. We click on the line, the border style, to make it a dashed border. I'm going to click on the color, and we're going to make that green. Be careful. You don't want that arrow where it's going to basically move it. You want to click in the middle so that, well, not to move it, to resize. You want to click in the middle so that it does actually move it. And we'll put that there. And that is our safe zone. Now you're going to go and start to design. So once you pull in your background piece, so let's see. I don't know. Let's just put sparkle. I always do something kind of like glittery. I don't know why. So I'm just going to put sparkle. Okay, so I like this one. Just going to bring that over and drop. Uh-oh. Well, it actually still filled up the whole thing, but I'm trying to get it in the frame. There we go. Okay. Now these two I'm going to group. And now you'll start to layer everything else on top. Even if we were to, let's also lock. Let's lock the back one in place so that the next thing we bring in, it does not try to jump into that box. So let's say we brought this in and it's up here. We're going to resize it all the way to the bleed edge. And then you would add your text. You would add whatever other elements you're going to add. You would add it to it. Just make sure that before you save it, you take the layer for the bleed and the substrate, the safe zone and the substrate area, and you delete those so that they're not a part of your saved file. If you were doing 13 by 19, this is where I meant to like make the bleed box. So if you're doing 13 by 19, whether it is a frame or if it is a shape, you would go to position. You're going to make that, in this case, for what we are doing, 12.5 by Control A, 18.5. You center that. You would pull in your background for that one. And then we don't need a frame for the substrate edge or the safe zone because they're just borders. They're just indicators. So for those, we definitely would use shapes and then position 12 by Control A, 18. No color. And then duplicate. Green dash and position 11.5, tab Control A, 17.5, and it's going to be centered. And then you just start to design. That way, once you save this, especially as a PDF, it's going to be ready to print to your 13 by 19 paper. When you do it this way, if you end up telling it to do full page and things of that nature, your sizing might be off. That's why I said, for me, I'm always going to start with the paper size that I'm going to print to. If I know that I'm going to print it in-house. If it is something where I'm just designing it here, I'm going to take it somewhere else to resize it and set up the print file. I will make it to the exact size that I need. Okay. Any questions on Canva? Okay. All right. So that concludes today's lesson. Oh, we got it done in under an hour. If you are enrolled in the Essentials of Silhouette Studio, I probably won't, I was going to do today, but I forgot there's something else I have to do. But at some point, I will have an exclusive video and we will do a breakdown of this design. Where did it go? Don't know where it went. But I'll have a breakdown of, how I did this design, getting the outline, the colors inside, removing the background on the eagle, like all the setup for this and how I did this. We will have an exclusive session for all those enrolled in Essentials of Silhouette Studio. And we do have a live class tonight. So hopefully I'll see you guys there. Until next time, guys, have a great one. Continue to unlock your creativity and be incredible. Peace.